Bringing the passion for the Pacific League, it's PACast, the officially unofficial podcast of the Pacific League English YouTube channel. Hosted by Jimbo Bernicki, Michael Bealey, and Gabe Lerman.
Good morning, good evening, and good everything in between, wherever you are and whoever you are. Welcome to the podcast, episode 5. I'm your host, Jimbo Bernicki, and with me, I've got the co-host with the most, Mr. Gabe Lerman.
Hello, friends and neighbors. Good to be back with you on the digital airwaves with yet another podcast. This one recorded the evening of May 30th, 2023.
And on my other side, both of our favorite color commenters, I think it's fair to say, the ever so gracious Mr. Michael Bealey. How are things for you today, sir?
I mean, it's kind of easy to be the favorite when there's only been one.
Well, look, you're the best. No one can deny that. Number one, all time. So, as Gabe said earlier, it is May 30th, 2023, and that means we have kicked off interleague play between the Pacific League and the Central League today. I got in a lot of baseball today. It was one of my first times really trying to take advantage of the multi-stream feature on Pacific League TV, which is awesome. Like, you can get multiple games going, take it all in at once. It was a lot to take in, but I had a great time. And I am very happy to say, as we are Pacific League supporters here, we are up 4-2 on our Central League rivals. Guys, did you catch any of the games of the highlights today?
Mostly the Orix Buffaloes one, because you know my favorite pitcher in the world, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, was throwing that one. 8 innings of 2-hit ball. He's back, folks, and he never left.
And I managed to check out myself. I was watching the Lions and Tigers game. Honestly, it's a bit rough to watch with the Lions not doing so well and the Tigers being the top team in both leagues, I should say. Got out to a lead early on. The Lions tried to fight back, but the Tigers held on. But I was very happy to see that the SoftBank Hawks demolished the Dragons from the Central League. That was very nice to see. Michael, did you see any of it?
I watched the replay of the Lotte Giants game. Glad I can actually say Giants now that we're in interleague. That's allowed. I was really interested in catching the replay of the Rakuten Yokohama game because Shota Imanaga threw a complete game, which I found to be really cool.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's a pretty nice little detail. I managed to catch just the last inning of the Marines Giants game. I got to see Naoya Matsuda pick up his 14th save of the season. Totally shut them down in the 9th inning. It's good to see. And yeah, I'm happy to see all of our Pacific League teams. Well, almost all the Pacific teams do well. 4-6 ain't bad. And
You said Lions and Tigers game, and I'm like waiting for the and Bears. Oh my!
I didn't even realize, but yeah, it was Tigers hosting the Lions. And so with things sort of kicking off, I did see a thread the other earlier that I think some of you may have seen too, where there were predictions for how do you think interleague play is going to go this season. So I thought we would make our own predictions about where we think things are going to end up, at least to predict who the winners are. I don't need to go too in depth with who gets the most home runs or anything like that. So for me, I think the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks will carry it through to the end of interleague play. Their batting lineup is really deep. They can switch out a lot of players. They can adapt, I think, to the pitch hitting rules that the Central League comes into play. That'll help them a lot. And of course, they have a DH ready. So I think they might build off, but I think it's going to come right down to the wire when they play the Tigers in Osaka, the final series of the season, interleague season, I should say.
I'm also calling the Hawks to lead the interleague period, but again, it's going to be a hair's breadth because the Buffaloes are going to be right on their tail. The Buffaloes have used interleague the last 2 seasons as a springboard to really get their season going and propel their pennant hopes. Can they do 3 in a row, though? Time will tell.
I'll probably lean towards SoftBank because they've won interleague a lot, and it would just be history repeating itself. As for like Pacific League wide, I do think Pacific League is going to take interleague because the other league really only has 2 teams that are trying and are competitive. And another prediction, I think Rakuten will move out of last place by the time interleague is done.
Now that's a bold prediction. That I don't know if I can co-sign on, though. I do admit I've caught in a couple Eagles innings lately. They seem they got some fighting spirit. Maybe they will, but that I still don't know about because I think the Central League and Pacific League are even-ish this year. They've got some. It's kind of similar where there's a top tier and a bit of a bottom tier.
I got my reasons. I'll discuss it when we get to the Rakuten part.
I've got a soft spot for the men in maroon. I think their primary issue right now is offense. Asamura does not have enough protection in that lineup. Who else is going to bat in runs if not him? And he hit his 10th home run of the season in the last couple of days. So he's at least doing his part.
Oh yeah, that's impressive, especially when you think of certain teams in the Pacific League who aren't doing so well in the home run front. This is highly conspiratorial and not even accusatory. Just I just looking through the schedule today, kind of thinking about really trying to rack my brain about who might win. I found it interesting that the Tigers, who are, out ahead this season, if you've been following anything in the Central League, they are doing very well. Got all of the worst teams in the Pacific League on the road and all the top teams at home. And I was like, interesting. It's fortunate for them.
I'll be sure to recommend that, we'll be able to point back to that when they're fishing at pieces of another Colonel Sanders statue out of the Dotonbori.
Ooh.
Low blow.
But man, they're good. I caught a lot of their game with the Lions today, and no, they are a quality ball club. Seriously, like I've seen their record. I haven't managed to like actually catch any of their games, but now that I'm watching, it's like, wow, yeah, that's a good baseball team.
The Tigers are also, I think, the Central League team with the strongest Anglophone base because, unlike others, you can actually watch their home games online using a paid subscription service. There's a couple of guides around for how you can sign up for that. It's not PLTV, so we can't talk about it too much, but there is an option out there that Tigers fans have been investing in.
So Gabe, did you have any sort of highlight off the top rope things you want to get into?
You know me, I'm all about the milestones, and we had three important ones that took place over the last week since we last recorded. First, and I actually tweeted about this, Tsuyoshi Wada, Dr. K himself, has reached the 2,000 innings pitched mark. He's only the 93rd player in NPB history to do it, and the fourth to do it exclusively as a Fukuoka SoftBank Hawk. That excludes his dalliance in the majors with the Cubs, among other teams. So congrats to Tsuyoshi Wada. He's still pitching with the Hawks. In fact, I think we saw him last season in the Midnight Matinee, and he's still going in his early 40s.
Good for him. That's really impressive. Because I was going to say, like, to do that in one league is very impressive, but not even to account that there's a period of his career in another league. That's really awesome. Good for him.
Fighters starter Naoyuki Uwasawa reached 1,000 innings pitched. There's only 364 pitchers who have been able to do that. He accomplished that in his start on Wednesday, the 24th. So far this season, Uwasawa has a 3.57 ERA over 8 starts, and he's already pitched a complete game shutout so far. So congrats to him for the milestone and hopefully many more to come. If memory serves, Uwasawa's hinted at going over to the majors once he gets his international free agent rights, to be determined. The final milestone, this is one for your men in maroon. Hiroaki Shimauchi, the Eel Dog is his nickname. He hit 100 career home runs, and he's the first Eagles draftee to do it. We mentioned the Tohoku Rakuten Golden Eagles have only been around for 17, 18 seasons. So they finally got themselves a slugger who stuck around and was able to rack up 100 career home runs.
And Michael, what's your headline for this week?
So I want to follow up on a headline I had last week where I talked about some high school baseball prospects and stuff. And Rintaro Sasaki, no relation, and his high school, Hanamaki Higashi High School, they were seeking their 5th straight win for the tournament that they're currently playing in to go to Koshin, I believe, the summer Koshin. And well, they got their 5th straight win. And Rintaro Sasaki had 2 hits, collected 4 RBIs, and hit his 130th high school home run, which I believe is just extending his a record that he himself had already set and broken multiple times.
Wait, I'm sorry. How many home runs?
130th in high school.
Wow. Okay, so that breaks Kiyomiya's record. That's
I was going to
insane.
say.
And you got to remember, Japanese high school is only 3 years.
Well, okay. Wow. Okay. I hadn't heard that this record had already been broken. I mean, that at that level, like that's insane. Okay, well, we should definitely keep an eye on him. I wonder how many teams will take him in the first round this year in the draft. Like that's or I mean, whatever year he's available, I should say.
And we should talk about the NPB draft at some point because that first round is an intricate situation and makes for great television, I gotta say.
And another thing on high school is last time I mentioned Ryoki Sasaki's brother, Reiki. I finally did get some information on him, like a bit of a scouting report, because I didn't have one last week. I found a website called Q Reiki. He is 178 centimeters tall or 5'8", so he's noticeably shorter than Roki, who was listed at 6'3". But of course, he's only 17 or whatever, so he is a third year, though, so I don't really know How much he'll grow after that, it all depends. Bats and throws right-handed, but his maximum pitch speed as a third year is 139 kilometers per hour or 86 miles per hour. So he's not throwing 101 in in high school tournaments as of yet. There's still time, I guess. But the one thing I found interesting when I was looking up his stats is on that website, I was able to see professional baseball players and draft pick stats going all the way back to their elementary school baseball teams,
Whoa.
which I found to be kind of ridiculous because I don't even think you could collect that many stats for any player in Major League Baseball to go
No, I
back
don't
that
think
far.
so.
They told me they weren't keeping a permanent record.
They're jotted down somewhere and they're probably using it against us. But so it seems Reiki is a better hitter than he is pitcher. He's only played 2 games so far in this high school season. I don't know how their seasons work particularly, but 2 games, 3 hits, 2 RBI, 3.33 average. His current ERA is 6.43 in 7 innings.
Ooh, okay. That was because that's decent hitting numbers, but that's not so good pitching numbers.
Prediction for me is that if he wants to continue to play, he might go the independent or the college route before he even goes anywhere near a farm team, I would think.
Prediction from me, he will become the Japanese Dustin Pedroia.
Man, I ain't a Red Sox fan. I don't know what that means.
I mean, you guys, wait a minute. No, you should know that. Okay, am I too old? No,
Yes.
no,
No,
I knew
I
Gabe,
reckon.
Gabe's gonna say
No, that rat-faced Fink is definitely familiar to me as a Blue Jays fan. Anyways, my prediction is I think it's time for another How to Speak Pacific League. Please enjoy.
How to Speak Pacific League. Lesson 2. Strikeouts. If you watch a game featuring Roki Sasaki or Yoshinobu Yamamoto, you'll likely hear this term often. Sanshin. San means 3, and shin means to swing or wave. Note that this only applies to strikeouts. Strike 1 or 2 are just called sutoraiku, the loan word. You may also hear karaburi or minogashi before sanshin. Karaburi means in vain, as in a swinging strikeout, while minogashi means to ignore or fail to notice, as in a strikeout looking.
So, as we do every week around here, we like to do a little around the horn where we examine how well the teams are doing from top to bottom. And starting at the top this week are the best team in the Pacific League, by record even, not just my own personal opinion, the Chiba Lotte Marines. And Michael, how are they doing this week?
So the biggest headline for the Marines obviously is finally Sasaki is back. No more blisters, no more commentary on blisters, no former coaches talking about how to not get blisters. He's back. He returned on May 28th, went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs on 3 hits, 1 walk, 9 Ks. Is pitching at full speed, doesn't seem to have any issues, hit 102 multiple times. And in that game, Lotte defeated SoftBank 5-9 with Gregory Polanco and Shogo Nakamura pretty much doing all the heavy lifting. Shogo went 3 for 3 with 3 hits, one being a home run and 1 walk and 3 RBI. Polanco went 2 for 5 with 5 RBI, hit home run number 5 in the 7th inning. The other RBI was scored by Hiromi Oka, who was hit by a pitch, so a bit of a cheap RBI there, with the bases loaded, and scored Nakamura, and that was in the top of the 8th.
I'm pretty sure that ever since I said Nakamura and Polanco haven't been doing well in our first or second episode, they've been like the only players hitting for the Marines.
That's why we have to keep talking about them.
Outside of, I think Yamaguchi picked up an RBI today in the interleague game. Not to steal your thunder, I was just sort of talking aloud there.
It's my thunder. Give it back. Anyway, Lotte starts interleague 1-0 after beating, the Giants 2-1. Lotte pitcher Yuji Nishino went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits, 1 run, no walks, 5 Ks. Hirokazu Sawamura and Naoya Matsuda came afterwards to close the door. Giants not having an easy time in the CL this year. They're not having a Giants season. If you know the Giants, you know what everybody expects from the Giants. They're still in 3rd place, I think, maybe 4th at this point. But Lotte faced Ryuta Henai, who went 2 innings, gave up 1 run, 4 hits, 1 walk, and no strikeouts. And afterwards, Yuki Takahashi went 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 5 Ks. And I don't know if he was being used as an opener. I didn't really know if the Giants believed in openers at all. I'll have to kind of research that more, but that was kind of weird to see.
Sorry.
On to the Orix Buffaloes next. The Buffaloes have gone 4-1 in their last 5 since we last spoke. They ended a 5-game win streak on Sunday, but bounced right back today, as aforementioned. Yoshinobu Yamamoto pitching 8 shutout innings, pacing them to a 4-0 lead over the Carp. A few things that caught my eye over the last little while. Banzai to Taishi Hirooka, who I mentioned was traded to the Buffaloes last week from the Giants, slugged his first home run with the Buffaloes against Kaima Taira and the Seibu Lions on Sunday. Sadly, that was all the offense they could muster. That was in a losing effort. But like I said, back in the win column. Free agent acquisition and catcher Tomoya Mori remains in the top 2 in the Pacific League for all 3 triple/slash categories. But as I mentioned before, getting some extra help in that lineup is going to propel the Buffaloes to bigger and better things. And so far, rookie Tokumasa Chano, Golden Glover third baseman Yuma Mune, and outfielder Keita Nakagawa are all in the top 10 for average. So he's getting that help. Also joining the team back, Yutaro Sugimoto. He had a 3-week absence end on the 26th. He's already slugged his 9th home run of the season, and he's helped keep Orix in that pennant race, not losing any pace to the Lotte Marines. And remember, this team is still missing a key piece of its bullpen in Yuki Udagawa, who was the World Baseball Classic Championship team's fireman. He hasn't pitched in a month. Hopefully he's coming back from injury soon.
And I think that brings us over to the SoftBank Hawks, who are sitting in third place this week. They had a decent week. It was a short week. Only 3. They went 3-2. And they did kick off interleague season this morning with a rousing 13-3 win over the Chunichi Dragons. I always struggle with their name. But yeah, I think the Hawks are primed to have a really good interleague season this year and capitalize on some of the Central League's lower performing teams. They've got a lot of batting depth. Yuki Yanagita and Akira Nakamura are among the league leaders in our average. And I think the pitching always kind of seems to slowly be developing. And so I think they can pull off a, as we talked about earlier, a decent showing in interleague play and maybe come out, I don't know about ahead of Orix and Lotte, because I think they're also going to have a similar situation when it comes to interleague, but I think they're going to continue to separate themselves from Rakuten, Seibu, nippon-ham, and then the rest of the Central League as the season goes on.
Speaking of nippon-ham, let's talk about the fighters. Chusei Manami is staking his claim to the Pacific League home run crown. He hit 2 home runs today to bring his total to 11 and is now leading the Pacific League in slugging percentage. That win today brings the Fighters' record to 3-3 in their last 6 and extends the Swallows' losing streak to 11 games in a row. Oof, in a word. One pitcher who's caught my eye lately for the Fighters is Seiji Tanaka. Had a very injury-riddled career with the Hawks, joined the Fighters last offseason. Now he's got 8 saves, 6 holds, and an ERA under 3 out of the bullpen. I'm wondering if the Fighters have their new bullpen ace. We talked about Miyanishi in a couple of episodes. Tanaka seems to have taken over that closer role, and he's doing a good job. One thing to watch for in the future, announced in the last week, Escon Field Hokkaido, the Fighters' brand new ballpark in Kita, Hiroshima, southeast of Sapporo proper, has announced that they will be opening the lid on their stadium for the first time. The open roof game will be July 1st against the Orix Buffaloes. 2 other small things I caught, and you can watch those highlights here on the Pacific League TV English YouTube channel. Alan Hansen was borrowing another player's uniform for the first few games since getting acquired by the Fighters, but in his first game with his own name on his back, slugged his first NPB home run back on Wednesday the 24th. And the reverse posting, Gosuke Kato, is finally playing with the top club after recovering from injury. He was activated on the 26th and responded with his first NPB hit.
And so that brings us over to the Seibu Lions, who are tumbling down. 1-4 this week. Not a good showing. There's not really any highlight to really speak of other than a scrappy win against the Buffaloes right before interleague play started, scraping out a win kind of in the 6th inning and holding on. Shuta Tonosaki continues to be the lone offensive highlight, still kind of hitting his way to decent results, but he's just not getting any support in the lineup right now. Sosuke Genda's back, which is definitely a highlight for the team defensively, but he's never really brought that much offensively and also kind of seems to be struggling right now. So it is rough goings for Lions fans at the moment. Hopefully they kind of can fight their way back in. It's interesting because I've been watching a lot of games with them. Watching the game this morning with the against the Hanshin Tigers. The Tigers immediately scored runs on them, and the Lions, they almost seem to get really discouraged right away. It felt like a Tigers home game, it's like the fan support really came out on the Tigers side, and the Lions just they don't seem to have the heart. While when I watch a team like Rakuten, who's under them right now, they even when they're down sometimes, it seems like they're really trying. It seems like there really is like a spirit to keep going. And I don't know what's going on with Seibu, but yeah, it just seems to be a bit flat for them right now. And maybe interleague play can help them turn around, especially if they start pulling off wins against the Tigers. And hey, maybe they'll run into the Swallows. I mean, they will run into the Swallows at some point. Maybe they'll pick up some wins there too. But right now, it is rough goings for the Seibu Lions.
And I remember back in 2019, the Swallows had a 17 game losing streak, and I actually caught a couple of those games. It was not fun for some of the fans I know.
Yeah, for sure. You never want to see anyone go on a losing streak that long, except like the Red Sox. But it can just be really rough, especially when it's a team of solid players who have a lot of talent. I mean, Takeo Nakamura was the MVP for the first month of the season. Kona Takahashi leads the league in WHIP. I mean, it's not like a slumping club. I mean, in terms of talent, they've definitely got the talent to put things together. It's just it's rough goings.
And Boston's catching strays out here. Anyways, Mike, what's going on with the Eagles?
Boston's catching strays. Okay, with the Eagles, so as we know, offense has not been their thing at all this year. Their team batting average was 209 collectively. So it was announced back on the 26th that they were going to be swapping batting coaches. Not firing, not moving them somewhere else in the organization, but the second team coach, the farm team coach, is now going to the top team, and the top team, going back. So the coach was Yuhei Takai, he's going down, and Toshiaki Imai is going up.
Okay, those are some familiar names. I think they're both former NPB players. Toshiaki Imai is a former Marine and Eagle. I think he won Japan Series with his time with the Chiba Lotte Marines. I remember him as an Eagle when I visited back in 2019. Yuhei Takai played 19 years for the Swallows, retiring in 2021 at least as a champion.
And Yuhei, from what I was reading, his response to being sent down was, "There's no way to solve hitting. It's very hard to teach hitting. It is very hard to hit."
I mean,
he's not wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with a translation here, so it does come out very direct. And Toshiaki Imai was quoted as saying he's very nervous because this will be his first time coaching at the top level, as if he did not play at the top level for 19 years and went to Japan Series. So it's kind of funny how something like that can make a successful player nervous like that. But as for Rakuten total, they're 3 for 7 in their last 10 and a half games back in the division. They started off interleague losing. Their record's now 0-1. Losing 3-2 to Yokohama. Norimoto went 6 innings, gave up one unearned run on 9 hits, 2 Ks, 3 walks. And then Naoto Nishiguchi gave up the other run in the 9th. And as I said earlier, Shota Imanaga threw a complete game, scattering 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, and got 9 strikeouts. Tonight, Tanaka will be pitching, so keep an eye out on that if you haven't been able to see him yet. And one thing that we've said about interleague before is that it's a chance for teams to catch up in their own division. And the Rakuten manager Kazuhisa Ishii actually was talking to the media and said that that's his game plan for interleague. He wants to take time to refresh the team's mind. They're going to be playing teams they haven't seen before, pitchers they've never faced before. They want to use this as a way for them to be able to catch up. Any negative, mindset they had, they just want to leave it behind them and just do the best they can in interleague. And kind of interestingly enough, he openly said to the media that Rakuten can't compete with other teams in PL, so they're going to decide to close the gap during interleague. And I found it interesting. He just openly said we can't compete.
Yeah, that's one hell of a statement. Actually, that I don't think you should say that. I mean,
as I said before, we're dealing with a translation, but I don't think that's something a manager should be saying to media.
No, definitely. I mean, not even to his players. I think the only person you say that to is your GM or something like that. That's somebody who you have to have a very, very frank discussion with regarding talent. But other than that, you don't let that out outside. That's
that was just an interesting statement. I don't know the culture about that stuff, in the Japanese clubhouses. I've never been in one, but so I don't know if they just kind of go meh, they don't care, but I did find that to be a rather strong statement that was a bit off.
The only thing I can think of is maybe he's trying to like go reverse psychology and like to make his own bulletin board material
Yeah,
and
could be.
be like, yeah, what did I say to the media? That's right, you guys are bums. Play better. I'm like, that's one heck of a strategy if that's what it is, but I don't know if it's that, you know.
But
That's
all in
there's
all,
also a slight indictment of Kazuhisa Ishii himself because he's the general manager too. So he built
Oh,
this team.
oh, well, okay. I guess he's allowed to say whatever he wants. I forgot about that.
I mean, he's allowed to. I just don't think he should.
Oh, he shouldn't, but anyway, Interleague is great. We can finally discuss the other 6 teams, and we can go in depth and say their names and X, Y, and Z.
Well, I don't know about in depth. They don't deserve it.
Oh no. But speaking of that, we did put out a question on the community tab about what CL players people were finally excited to see, play on PLTV. If we want to read a couple of those.
I'm seeing a lot of responses for Munetaka Murakami. At least 4 different comments have brought that up. How about No, JS Lori, the Kerm, and Dead Luigia. So I agree that Munetaka Murakami, the guy who set the domestic player home run record with 56 last year, the guy with the Sayonara double in the WBC semifinal, definitely a hot ticket. I just don't think now's a good time with the Swallows slumping as much as they are. I'm personally looking forward to seeing Teruaki Sato impress fans on this side of the Pacific.
You stole my answer.
Sorry, man. Another WBC player, Shugo Maki, Yokohama DNA Baystar second baseman. I think his WRC plus was sitting near 200 for a good chunk of last season. He is the next great bat coming out of Yokohama.
And for me, the player that I'm interested in seeing is there's 2 actually. Shugo Akiyama will be finally, returning to Pacific League because now he's in CL with Hiroshima. Started his career with the Lions and went over to MLB for a while. And then Hayato Sakamoto, the modern day, Mr. Giants, the face of the Giants. So kind of excited that we can see him on PLTV.
I also like the response from Michael here, Michael-ZN7WB, mentioning a few foreign batters, Neftali Soto of the Baystars, Dion Viciedo of the Dragons, and one-time postee but didn't get a signing deal, Ryosuke Kikuchi, the multi-Golden Glove second baseman from the Carp.
Neftali Soto is an interesting one. When he got to Japan in 2019, he just destroyed baseballs. He hasn't hit, 40 plus again, but he's still, just a completely dangerous, batter in the lineup.
Combine him with Tyler Austin, and yeah, that Baystars lineup is one of the reasons why they're in second place over in the other league.
Other than Teriyaki Soto for the Tigers, who I will speak on a bit. I mean, even though you still like kind of split the thunder there. I mean, I've had my eye on him for a while, and he's such a great hitter, and he played really well in the game today against the Lions. But other than that, I also have been keeping an eye on Shosei Togo for the Yomiuri Giants, the right-handed pitcher. He's been pretty good too. He's been an interesting, been a prospect I've sort of had an eye on since I was checking out younger players all over the league. And yeah, he's somebody who do also keep an eye on because we don't get to see these players all the time, and it is nice to see the Giants and the Tigers and the Bears on my.
And if you do want to see these teams, please take a listen to this next segment.
What you are about to hear is a real story, as told by a real person.
I am a construction worker in New York and die-hard baseball fan. The problem is I'm always working. I work hard and I work long hours. The other day I worked a 150-hour unpaid shift getting my kneecaps smashed with a hammer. I don't have time to watch baseball. When I get home at 5 a.m., I would like to watch a game before I go back to work at 8 a.m., but there is no baseball on. I don't know what to do.
If Mark was a subscriber to Pacific League TV, for the low price of 1,450 yen per month, he wouldn't have this problem. For under $11 at today's exchange rate, he could get access to all 6 Pacific League teams, all 3 games happening every day, and almost the entire farm of NPB. If you or a loved one are currently working unpaid shifts getting your knees smashed with a hammer and not able to watch baseball at 5 in the morning, please consider Pacific League TV. This message has been brought to you by absolutely nobody in particular, as this is unofficial.
I also noticed that WatchDingo.com has updated its categories. There are now 6 channels because there's 6 Pacific League games, with each of the opponents being a Central League team. You'll be able to watch Pacific League TV for free if you are located in the United States or Canada at watchdingo.com. Look for Dingo TV Baseball and then choose games 1 through 6 to tune in, minus commentary, of course. Let's take a look at some of the familiar faces across the pond and our side of the Pacific in the majors. And there's a couple of names that I want to call out here. First off is Kodai Senga. I talked about him a couple of weeks ago. Today's start was perfectly Senga. 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts. He had 7 career NPB starts, allowing 1 or fewer hits in at least 6 innings. He joins Matt Harvey, Nolan Ryan, Max Scherzer, Dwight Gooden, and Pedro Martinez with at least 70 strikeouts in their first 10 appearances with the Mets.
Wow, that's impressive, to say the least.
Another name pitching today, Yusei Kikuchi, everyone's second favorite graduate of Hanamaki Higashi High School. Kikuchi recorded his 500th MLB strikeout in a game against the Milwaukee Brewers at Rogers Center earlier today. Combined with the 903 strikeouts he racked up as a member of the Seibu Lions rotation. Yeah, Kikuchi's been an impressive player, and this season has been a real bounce back from him. 6-2 record with a 4.47 ERA, 52 strikeouts over 56 and a thirds innings pitched. Everyone in Toronto, like me, thinks it's the beard. It's got to be the stubble. And of course, the most favorite Hanamaki Higashi graduate, Shohei Ohtani, continues to impress. His ERA is under 3 over 11 starts with a 0.95 whip and a 1.155 opponent batting average. So his pitching is basically the best it's ever been, even if his batting is only an 845 OPS with 13 home runs over 54 games. I mean, maybe he's trying to win the Cy Young this year instead of the MVP. Who knows?
One of my favorite things to do with Ohtani is when people are discussing American League MVPs, I'll just go into the Twitter thread, comment, what is his ERA, turn off notifications, and just leave. Being a complete menace.
And so that brings us to the end of today's show. As always, I would like to thank my ever so special gracious guest host, Gabe Lerman and Michael Bealey, and I would like to thank you, the listener, for sticking through with us all the way to the end. Please like, comment, and subscribe as always in YouTube land, and check us out next week where we'll bring you even more of Pacific League news. Take care.
Be sure to like and subscribe for more English content. Sign up with Pacific League TV for live game broadcasts, including interleague and farm teams. For viewers in the US or Canada, watch PL games with English commentary on FTF Sports, Tuesday through Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, or without commentary on watchdingo.com simulcasts under the Baseball Network.